Hi, Paul Coker here from onebloodydrop.com. Today I'm here with Chris Bright from the diabetes football community. Chris is a semi-professional football player. He has had type 1 diabetes for 18 years.
18 years, yeah.
And he is also a capped futsal player for Wales. So he has a wealth of experience and knowledge. And Chris, what I want to ask you today is, how do you prepare your diabetes and how do you manage your diabetes in the lead up to a game, either in football or futsal?
So, I mean, it's quite a complex sort of question that I guess you can't say right or wrongly what you would do 100% of the time, but you have to approach it, I guess, with, for me, an air of consistency. I would look to start preparing the day before a game, which for people that don't have diabetes is, unheard of, but I'm literally monitoring everything from the night before. Friday night, I'm thinking about what I'm eating, what kind of meal it is. I tend to fuel it heavily with carbohydrates to stack those up in preparation for the game the following day, and try to get a good night's sleep like everybody else does the day before, and then I guess it really starts in earnest on the morning prior to a game. So, for example, a football game kicking off at 3 o'clock, I'd be up set time in the morning, normally about 8:30, to make sure I had breakfast at around 9, knowing that I would want to squeeze my lunch in by 12 to ensure that I had 3 hours prior to kick-off before ever having to approach the exercise with extra insulin in there is not ideal. So I would make sure, and all this time trying to ensure that glucose levels were in range. So we get to lunchtime following breakfast, and it's the same meal. I've been having the same meal for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, and it's literally because I know what it's going to do and what kind of situation and level it will put me in when I get to the game. So I'm consistent is what I would say on the Saturday. Try and keep things within range, and if you're worried slightly, make sure I run them slightly higher. To be fair, I'd put them at 8-9 millimoles and not worry about it in the slightest, because I know what's about to come. Have the meal lunchtime, and then arrive at the game 1:30. I'm normally there 90 minutes before kick-off. As soon as I get there, it's all about checking glucose levels and starting to think about where are they going to end up following what's about to come. So check them, respond. It's trial and error at this stage. It's if they're in range, you're probably going to need a little bit of glucose because I'm going to end up out exercising and warming up in a minute. And if they're out of range, they might need a small insulin adjustment. It is understanding your body at this stage and understanding how you react to certain elements of exercise. So then I go out and warm up. And I mean, in the warm up, I'm trying to focus on the game, but knowing that any slight change in the way I feel, I need to know what my glucose levels are. So I'll go out with the intention of fully doing the warm up as best I can. But knowing that glucose levels at this stage are the most important, because if I don't get them right, I'm not going to be able to play. And then following the warm-up, I come back in, I check myself again, and this is normally about 15 to 10 minutes before kick-off. So it's absolutely imperative that they are sat in range at this point. I mean, there's been times where I've found it a last-minute reaction and a tweak to try and get things right for 3 o'clock. And there's been times where I've absolutely no chance, and I've walked into a hypo and I've had to either pull out of the game and put myself on the subs bench, or I've gone out and played and not played to the ability that I want to, and had to try and rectify a glucose level that I wasn't happy with, and was slightly dangerous. I mean, healthcare professionals wouldn't do it, but this is practice, and I've done it before. Wouldn't recommend it, but it's part of the preparation. You have to, you understand that this can happen, and at that stage, when 3 o'clock comes around, if I haven't got things perfect, it may well be that this is a game that's going to be tough for me. And if I've got it perfect, then I go out onto the pitch at 3 o'clock and I forget all about the diabetes. once I cross the white line, you have to, I guess, try and switch off from worrying about glucose levels, because otherwise it will sit there and you'll overthink how you're feeling, when you just need to be thinking about how you're performing and what your output is on the pitch.
So Chris, I know that for me, I'm using an insulin pump and you're using multiple daily injections. So on the night before a game, do you have to make any changes to your long-acting insulin? I don't know, do you split your doses of long-acting insulin from morning and evening?
Predominantly I've been on Lantus for a very long time. I recently changed to Tresiba, and it's one injection in the evening. I don't tend to reduce it the day before. I like to try to think about having as insulin on board to ensure that what I'm eating and what I'm putting in is put into the muscles prior to the game. So I like to ensure that I'm not really reducing. I'm making sure everything's covered. The reductions for me in insulin intake then come after a game.
Okay, and another point that I noticed, and it's something I think that we share, there's many people out there with diabetes that follow a low carbohydrate diet in order to manage their blood glucose levels. For me, when I was running the half marathons, and even now when I'm running, that just doesn't work. And I noticed that you were saying that the night before you play football, your carbohydrate loading, is that your normal method? Do you normally eat a relatively high carbohydrate diet?
I would say so. I think on any given normal day, it's probably around 300 grams, which for some people is quite a lot. For me, that's probably, I'd say, a medium day. And when it comes to prior to a football match, the day before, Friday night, I'm really stacking it in. I mean, I can have a meal that's 220 on its own, 220 grams, so it can be. I would never, I wouldn't say I'm having a low carb diet at all. I think for me and my performance, it's imperative that I have a fair bit on board.
What I want to do next is to talk to Chris in the next video about how he manages his diabetes during a football game. So see you on the next video.